The lawyer's email arrives at 9:17 a.m. on a Tuesday. Family trust meeting scheduled for Thursday, 2 p.m. Your presence is required for estate planning updates. Please bring current financial documentation. I stare at the message for a full minute before deleting it. Then I retrieve it from trash, print it, and add it to the file I've been keeping for exactly this purpose. My name is Destiny Rafferty. I'm 44 years old. I'm a senior operations officer with the Central Intelligence Agency, currently assigned to the Counterterrorism Center. I've run assets in hostile territories, coordinated intelligence operations across 3 continents, and briefed presidents on national security threats. My father thinks I'm collecting welfare. And on Thursday at 2 p.m., in his estate lawyer's conference room, I'm going to let him say it out loud. In front of witnesses. On record. Because I'm done pretending this doesn't cut. The Rafferty family has always been about appearances. My father, Lawrence Rafferty, built a commercial real estate empire from nothing, or so the family legend goes. In reality, he inherited his first properties from his father, but that detail gets omitted from dinner party conversations. He's 72 now, still sharp, still ruthless, still measuring success in square footage and profit margins. My mother died when I was 16. Cancer. Fast and brutal. After that, my father threw himself into work, and my older siblings threw themselves into becoming exactly what he wanted them to be. My brother Theodore, corporate attorney, partnership track at a white shoe firm, married to a woman whose family owns half of Virginia horse country. My sister Aletha, museum curator, tasteful and cultured, married to a surgeon, 2 perfect children in private school. And then there's me. I joined the CIA at 25, right out of grad school. The recruitment process took 8 months. Background checks, polygraphs, psychological evaluations. When I finally got the call, I was in my apartment celebrating with cheap wine and my roommate. I called my father to share the news. The CIA, he'd said, is that wise? I think so. It's an incredible opportunity. But what will you tell people? The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? At dinners, events, when people ask what you do, you can't exactly tell them you're a spy. I'm not a spy. I'm an intelligence analyst. At the time, that was true. The operational work came later. That sounds like a secretary. It's not. Dad, this is the Central Intelligence Agency. It's one of the most competitive. I'm just concerned about how it looks, Destiny. Theodore is making a name for himself. Aletha is doing important cultural work. And you're going to tell people you work for the government doing what, exactly? I'd tried to explain. The importance of intelligence work, the rigor of the analysis, the impact on national security. He'd listened with the patience of someone waiting for a child to finish a tantrum. Well, he'd finally said, I suppose it's better than nothing. Just try not to embarrass the family. That was 19 years ago. I haven't tried very hard since. Over the years, I learned to navigate family gatherings with surgical precision. When asked about work, I give vague answers. Still with the federal government, same department, different desk. It's policy work, pretty boring. When they probe for details, I redirect. How's the museum, Aletha? Theodore, tell me about that merger case. When they make assumptions, I don't correct them. Government work must be so stable, Aletha said once, in a tone that implied stable meant mediocre. The benefits are good, I'd agreed, not mentioning that my salary puts me in the top 2% of federal employees. Do you ever think about private sector? Theodore asked at another gathering. Consulting firms love people with security clearances. I could make some introductions, get you into something with actual growth potential. I'm happy where I am, I'd said. His expression had been pure pity. Well, as long as you're happy. The implication was clear. I'd settled. I'd chosen the safe, boring path. I was the Rafferty who didn't quite measure up. And I let them believe it. Not because I was ashamed of my work. I was proud of it. But because explaining what I actually did would require trust they'd never shown. It would require them to see me as something other than the youngest child who never lived up to potential. So I played the role they'd written for me, the underachiever. The one who needed their concern and their barely veiled disappointment. And somewhere along the way, I started to enjoy it. Not in a healthy way. In the way you enjoy pressing on a bruise, to remember it's there. The file I've been keeping contains every dismissive comment, every assumption, every slight over the past 19 years. Emails where Theodore just wanted to check in about my financial situation. Christmas cards from Aletha with gift certificates to discount stores because I know money's tight. Birthday calls from my father asking if I needed help with bills. I never needed help. I've been financially independent since I was 26. I own my condo outright. My investment portfolio would make Theodore weep with envy. But they never asked, they assumed. And now I have documentation. Thursday arrives cold and gray. I dress carefully, a simple black suit from Nordstrom, not expensive enough to raise questions but professional enough for a legal meeting. Minimal jewelry, sensible shoes. I look exactly like what they expect, a low-level government employee attending a required family meeting. The lawyer's office is in an old Victorian house converted to professional use, all dark wood and creaky floors, and the smell of old paper. Mr. Eddings has been the family attorney for 30 years, handling trusts and estates with quiet efficiency. I arrive exactly on time. My father's Mercedes is already in the small parking lot, Theodore's BMW, Aletha's Lexus. Inside, the receptionist directs me to the conference room on the second floor. They're all there when I walk in. My father at the head of the table, Theodore to his right, Aletha to his left. Mr. Eddings at the far end with files stacked in front of him. The only empty chair is at the opposite end from my father, isolated. Of course. Destiny, my father says without standing. You're here. The email said my presence was required. Yes, well, we're making some changes to the family trust, given recent circumstances. He exchanges a look with Theodore. I sit in the empty chair. What circumstances? The trust needs updating, Theodore says in his lawyer voice. Asset allocation, beneficiary designations, standard estate planning. And why does that require my presence? Mr. Eddings clears his throat. The trust currently designates equal distribution among the 3 children upon Mr. Rafferty's death. He's proposing amendments. Something cold settles in my chest. Amendments! My father leans back, fingers steepled. I've worked my entire life to build this family's wealth and reputation. What we have, the properties, the portfolio, the name, it's not just money, it's legacy. I understand that. Do you? He looks at me for the first time. Because legacy requires stewardship. It requires maintaining standards. And I can't in good conscience leave equal shares to someone who's going to squander it, or, worse, embarrass this family by association. The words are careful, measured, rehearsed. What are you saying, Dad? He sighs, the sound of someone forced into an unpleasant duty. I'm saying your lifestyle choices have consequences. I've tried to be patient, I've tried to be understanding, but at some point, I have to protect what I've built. My lifestyle choices. The government job that goes nowhere, no marriage prospects at 44, living in that apartment. He says it like he's describing a cardboard box. And frankly, Destiny, your financial situation is a concern. Aletha touches his arm. Dad, maybe we should. No. He's decided to do this, and he'll do it his way. She needs to hear this. Theodore and Aletha have built lives that reflect well on this family. They've made smart choices, married well, achieved things. You've existed on a government salary that probably requires food stamps. Theodore winces but doesn't contradict him. My father continues, his voice taking on that disappointed parent tone I've heard my entire life. My youngest embarrasses this family. She's probably collecting welfare checks by now. I can't have that tied to our name. He picks up his pen, pulls a document toward him. So I'm amending the trust. Theodore and Aletha will inherit equally. You'll receive a small consideration, enough to live on, but nothing that could damage the family reputation if mismanaged. He signs the document with a flourish. The scratching of pen on paper is the loudest sound in the room. Mr. Eddings looks uncomfortable. Mr. Rafferty, I should note that for the amendment to be properly executed, we need current financial statements from all beneficiaries. It's standard procedure for trust modifications. My father waves dismissively. Theodore and Aletha have already provided theirs. Yes, but Ms. Rafferty? I have mine, I say quietly. Everyone turns to look at me. I open my bag, the same nondescript black bag I carry to family events, nothing that would suggest my actual life, and pull out a single sheet of paper. I slide it across the table to Mr. Eddings. He picks it up, adjusts his reading glasses, scans it with the bored efficiency of someone who's reviewed thousands of financial documents. Then his expression changes. He reads it again, slower this time. He looks at me over his glasses, then at the paper, then back at me. Ms. Rafferty, he says carefully, this says your annual income is $550,000. The pen falls from my father's hand. It hits the table with a small plastic click that echoes in the sudden stillness. Theodore's head snaps toward the paper. Aletha's mouth opens slightly. My father's face has gone very pale. That's correct, I say. And this is verified? Current? Last fiscal year. This year's trending higher. Mr. Eddings sets the paper down gently. He looks at my father. Sir, I don't think the welfare concern is relevant. My father is staring at the financial statement like it's written in a foreign language. That's not possible, he finally says. It's a GS-15 salary with locality pay, plus overseas hardship differential, plus hazard pay for certain assignments. I explain, my voice level. That's before performance bonuses. You're a secretary, Aletha whispers. I'm a senior operations officer with the Central Intelligence Agency. I run counterterrorism operations. I've had that title for 6 years. Theodore finds his voice. Why didn't you tell us? I tried, 19 years ago. Dad said it sounded like secretary work. After that, you all made your assumptions, and I stopped correcting them. My father is still staring at the paper. This can't be right. It's accurate. If you'd like verification, Mr. Eddings can call the Office of Personnel Management. Though, given the clearance level, they won't give you operational details. You let us think, Aletha starts, but I cut her off. I let you think nothing. You assumed. For 19 years, you assumed I was unsuccessful because I didn't brag. Because I didn't perform success the way you wanted. Because I chose service over status. That's not fair, Theodore says. Isn't it? When's the last time any of you asked me about my actual work? When's the last time you were genuinely interested in my life instead of pitying it? Silence. I've been running operations that save lives. I've briefed cabinet members. I've worked in conflict zones Theodore couldn't find on a map. And the whole time, you've been sending me gift certificates to Target because you thought I needed financial help. Aletha's face is red. You should have told us. Like I told Dad when I first joined, when he asked what I'd tell people at dinner parties, when he warned me not to embarrass the family. I shake my head. I learned early that what I did didn't matter to you, only how it looked mattered. My father finally speaks, his voice hoarse. We're still your family. Are you? I look at each of them, because families ask questions. Families show interest. Families don't spend 2 decades assuming the worst and calling it concern. Mr. Eddings clears his throat. Perhaps we should take a break. This has become rather emotional. No, my father says. No, we're going to address this. Destiny, I don't understand why you'd hide this from us. And there it is, the defense mechanism, turning my silence into my fault. I didn't hide it, Dad. I live my life. You just never bothered to look. That's unfair. Is it? You just signed a document cutting me out of the family trust because you assumed I was on welfare. You didn't ask. You didn't verify. You assumed, and you acted on that assumption. How is that my responsibility? The fight goes out of him suddenly. He looks old, sitting there at the head of the table with his unsigned amendment and his shattered assumptions. I thought you needed help, he says quietly. I needed recognition. I needed you to see me. I didn't need help. The meeting doesn't really end so much as dissolve. Mr. Eddings suggests we reconvene after everyone has processed the new information. My father sits motionless, Theodore makes excuses about getting back to the office. Aletha won't meet my eyes. I stand to leave. Destiny, my father's voice stops me at the door. Why did you come? If you knew what I was going to do, why did you come? I turn to face him. Because I wanted you to say it out loud. I wanted it on record. I wanted you to look at me and call me an embarrassment and mean it. I didn't. You did. You meant every word. And now you know the truth and you have to sit with how wrong you were. That's cruel. Is it, or is it just honesty? I walk out, my footsteps loud on the old wooden stairs. I drive aimlessly for an hour, not ready to go home, not ready to be anywhere. The satisfaction I expected to feel isn't there. Instead, there's just a hollow feeling in my chest, like something's been excavated and nothing's grown back to fill the space. I thought proving them wrong would feel triumphant. Instead, it feels empty. My phone rings, Theodore. I almost don't answer, but curiosity wins out. What do you want? To apologize. His voice is tight. I was wrong. We were all wrong. I'm sorry. Okay. Is that it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Theodore? That it's fine? That 19 years of condescension and pity don't matter because you said sorry? No, I don't know what to do with this. Neither do I. He's quiet for a moment. Can I ask you something? Why did you let it go on for so long? If you were doing so well, why not just tell us? I pull over, put the car in park. Because somewhere around year 5, it stopped being about you not knowing. It became about me not caring that you didn't know. It became a shield, a way to keep you at a distance. Why would you want us at a distance? Because you hurt me, Theodore, over and over, and instead of fighting back, I just withdrew. I built this whole separate life where I'm successful and respected, and I kept it from you, because keeping it from you felt safer than sharing it and having you diminish it. We wouldn't have. You would have. You did. That's what today proved. More silence. Then, what do we do now? I don't know. I honestly don't know. 3 days later, my father calls. I stare at his name on the screen for 5 rings before answering. Hello. I've been thinking. His voice is different, uncertain, about what you said, about not looking. Okay. You were right. I didn't look. I made assumptions based on what I thought success looked like, and I was wrong. Yes. I'm sorry, Destiny. I'm truly sorry. The words sound genuine. They probably are, but they also come after he was proven wrong in the most humiliating way possible. I appreciate that, I say, and I mean it, but I also feel the distance between appreciation and forgiveness stretching out like a canyon. Can we fix this? As a family? I don't know, Dad, can we? I'd like to try. I think about this, about 19 years of distance and disappointment. About the satisfaction of the reveal turning to ash. About standing in that conference room and realizing that proving them wrong didn't fix the hurt. I need to ask you something, I say, and I need you to be honest. Okay. If I hadn't made $500,000 a year, would you still be calling to apologize? The pause is long enough to be an answer. I want to say yes, he finally admits. But I don't know if that's true, and that's part of the problem, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So what do we do? I don't know, but I think maybe I'm part of the problem too. What do you mean? I used your assumptions as an excuse to never engage. I used your ignorance as a shield. I let the distance grow because it felt safer than being vulnerable with you, and that's on me. You're being too hard on yourself. Am I? Because here's the thing, Dad. I've spent 19 years judging you for judging me. I've collected every slight, every assumption, every dismissive comment. I've built a case against you in my head and used it to justify keeping you out of my life. And I did it with the same cold calculation you used to write me out of the trust. That's different. Is it though? You decided I wasn't worth including based on assumptions about my worth. I decided you weren't worth trusting, based on assumptions about your capacity to change. How is that different? He's quiet for a long time. I don't have an answer to that. Neither do I, but I think maybe we both need to sit with it. 2 weeks later, I meet Aletha for coffee. She's nervous, hands wrapped around her mug, eyes not quite meeting mine. "Thank you for coming," she says. "You asked?" "I wasn't sure you would." I shrug. "I almost didn't. I owe you an apology, a real one, not the kind I gave at the meeting." "Okay." She takes a breath. "I've been thinking about what you said, about us not asking, and you're right. I never asked about your life because I thought I already knew. Government job, single, probably struggling, and that made me feel better about my choices. Like I'd done things right." "I know. And that's horrible. That's such a horrible way to think about your sister." "Yes. But also," she looks up finally, "I think you've been doing the same thing to me." The words hit harder than I expect. "What do you mean?" "You've spent years thinking I'm shallow, that I care more about appearances than substance, that my whole life is just performance for Dad's approval. And maybe some of that's true. But you never asked either, Destiny. You never asked if I'm happy. You never asked if I chose this life or if it chose me. You just assumed I was the perfect daughter playing her perfect part, and you judged me for it." My throat feels tight. "That's not." "It is. You've been looking down on me the same way I've been pitying you. We've both been building narratives about each other instead of actually talking." I sit with this, the bitter taste of truth. "You're right," I finally say. "I have been. So maybe we're both wrong, about each other, about ourselves, about all of it. Maybe." We sit in silence for a while, drinking our coffee, watching people pass outside the window. "Can I ask you something?" Aletha says. "Your work, the CIA stuff. Is it dangerous?" "Sometimes." "Are you scared?" "Sometimes." "Are you happy?" "I consider this. Sometimes. Are you?" She laughs, but it's not a happy sound. "Sometimes. My marriage is fine, but not great. My kids are wonderful but exhausting. The museum work is fulfilling but underpaid. I spend a lot of time performing happiness I don't entirely feel." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I made my choices. I wish we'd talked about this years ago, before it got so broken." "Can we fix it?" "I don't know, but I'd like to try. Real trying, not performative trying." "What does that look like?" "Honesty, I think. Uncomfortable honesty, admitting when we're wrong, asking real questions and listening to real answers." I nod slowly. "That sounds hard." "Probably, but maybe harder is better than easy and broken." That night, alone in my condo, I pull out the file. 19 years of collected grievances, proof of their wrongness, evidence of my righteousness. I read through it, page by page, and I see it differently now. Yes, they were wrong about me, but I was also wrong about them. I used their assumptions as permission to never be vulnerable. I weaponized their ignorance as justification for my distance. I built a fortress and called it self-protection. And now I'm standing in that fortress alone, wondering why it feels so empty. I pick up my phone and send a text to my father. "Can we have dinner? Just us. Real conversation, no performance." His response comes quickly, "Yes, please." Then I text Theodore. "You asked what we do now. I think we start over. Actually start over." And Aletha, "Thank you for today, for being honest. I needed that." The response is coming quickly. Relief, hope, uncertainty. I close the file and put it in the recycling bin. I don't need it anymore. Not because they're forgiven, that will take time, if it happens at all, but because I don't want to be the person who collects grievances, who weaponizes silence, who builds walls and calls them boundaries. I want to be the person who asks hard questions, who admits when she's wrong, who chooses uncomfortable honesty over comfortable distance. Whether my family can meet me there, I don't know. But I'm gonna try. Not for them. For me. Because I've spent 19 years proving I don't need their approval, and it turns out that's not the same thing as not needing their love. The dinner with my father happens on a Tuesday. We meet at a small Italian restaurant, not one of his usual upscale places. Somewhere quiet where we can actually talk. He looks older than I remember, grayer, smaller somehow. "Thank you for coming," he says. "You're my father, of course I came. I wasn't sure, after everything." We order. We make small talk. And then, finally, he asks, "What's it like, your work?" So I tell him. Not everything. Some things are classified, some things are too painful. But I tell him about the satisfaction of solving impossible puzzles. The weight of knowing lives depend on your analysis. The exhaustion of constant vigilance. He listens, really listens, asks follow-up questions, shows genuine interest. And when I finish, he says, "I'm proud of you. I should have said that 19 years ago. I'm saying it now. Thank you. Can I ask why you stayed with it after I dismissed it?" "Because it mattered more than your approval, and that felt like both a victory and a loss." He nods slowly. "I understand that. Do you?" I spent my life building an empire to prove my father wrong about me. To show him I was more than he thought. And when he died, I realized I'd built the whole thing as an argument with a ghost. I wonder sometimes what I could have built if I'd been building for me instead. The honesty catches me off guard. "Is that what you're doing now?" I ask. "Arguing with ghosts?" Maybe, or maybe I'm finally trying to see the people in front of me instead of the reflections I expect. We sit with that for a moment. "I need to tell you something," I say. "I engineered that meeting, the financial statement, the timing. I knew what you were going to do, and I set it up so you'd be humiliated." "I know." "You do?" "Of course. It was too perfect, too timed." "You wanted to hurt me." "Yes." "Did it work? Do you feel better?" I think about this, about the hollow satisfaction, about standing in the fortress I built and realizing I was just as trapped as they were. "No," I admit, "it didn't work. I thought proving you wrong would fix everything. Instead, it just showed me how broken we all are." "Broken can be repaired," he says, "if we're willing to do the work." "Are you?" "I'm here, aren't I?" "That's not the same as being willing to change." "No, but it's a start." 6 months later, things are different. Not fixed. Different. I have dinner with my father once a month. Real dinners, where we talk about real things. He still makes assumptions sometimes, but he catches himself now, asks instead of presuming. Aletha and I text regularly. She's in therapy, working through her own stuff. We're learning to be honest with each other, even when it's uncomfortable. Theodore is harder. We're polite, but distant. Some relationships take longer to repair. Maybe some never fully do. The trust was amended back to equal shares. I considered refusing my portion, making some grand gesture, but that would have been another performance, another way of using money to keep score. So I accepted it. And I donated a substantial portion to a scholarship fund for first-generation college students pursuing public service careers. I didn't tell my father until the announcement was published. He called me immediately. That was generous. It felt right. "Your mother would have been proud." It's the first time he's mentioned her in years. "I think she would have been proud of me all along," I say. "Government job and all." "You're right, she would have. She was always better at seeing people than I am." "It's not too late to learn." "No," he agrees. "I suppose it's not." The file is gone. The fortress is coming down, brick by brick. And I'm learning, slowly, painfully, that proving people wrong isn't the same as proving yourself right. That righteousness isn't the same as peace. That being justified in your anger doesn't make you less alone in it. I was right about my family's assumptions, but I was also wrong about mine. They failed to see me, but I also failed to let them. They judged me, but I judged them right back. And somewhere in that mutual judgment, we all lost years we can't get back. We're trying now. It's messy and uncomfortable and sometimes still painful. But it's honest. And honest, I'm learning, is worth more than I thought. More than being right, more than being justified, more than winning. The woman in the conference room who orchestrated that perfect reveal, she got her moment of triumph. But the woman I'm trying to become knows that triumph isn't the same as healing. and healing requires something harder than proof. It requires vulnerability, humility, the willingness to admit you're not just the hero of your own story. Sometimes you're the villain too. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is put down your weapons and admit you're tired of fighting, even if you're not sure what comes next.